Hello, everyone. This is Mornings with Michael, brought to you for information and educational purposes only. Welcome to Taco Tuesdays edition. Hope you all went out there and supported your favorite taco truck. So we had a big sell-off today. The PMI non-factory producers manufacturing index, I believe it's called, is from the services side. It fell from 43. So they've been estimating a 43 rating and came in 42.6. They said that inflation was ebbing, um, falling back. So that's kind of the story. Software kind of got hit pretty hard. After hours today, CrowdStrike came in and beat their earnings. But let's go straight to the news. China's services activity grew at a slower pace in February, with business confidence moderating for the second month as the Calixon S&P Global Services Purchasing Manager Index edged down to 52.5 from 52.7 in January. Still above its 50 mark for expansion. Chinese Premier Li Qiang announced a 2024 economic growth target of around 5% on Tuesday. Eurozone business activity showed signs of recovery last month as HCOB's Composite Purchasing Manager Index for the block compiled by S&P Global jumped to 49.2 in February from 47.9 in January. So let's move on to our sector news. Let me share the screen. Got Wells Fargo here, the banking index, which we'll look at. Might as well look at them now. We'll see if we can get this. It just kind of shows that there's been continued institutional demand in Wells Fargo stock. There's a big jump in volume here, and it was also above average volume again today. So first we'll look at the regional banking. Got a big bounce today. Pretty good volume. And see if this will come up. Maybe try this one. Not sure if this is it. I'll do a quick little search, see if we can find out what's going on. It's amazing what a few letters will do. But let me just share our screen again. KBE got a big bounce here as well. Huge volume yesterday and a little softer today, but also good volume. Price moving up a little over 3%. PNC Bank moving up close to 1% on this. Moved up big yesterday, big gap up. Look at the financials. not doing too bad. Energy. Energy bounced back. It was off earlier. Look at oil pricing is falling to the 10-day moving average. Look at our trade. It fell from 30 down to 29.36, down to its 20-day moving average, sliced right through the 10-day. Google continues to sell off in the communications sector, fell to its 200-day, sank below it, and tried to fight back to get to it. Had an outage in Meta, Instagram, Facebook, others. So it fell to its 10-day moving average. XLU tried to move higher and then sold off. Real estate tried to move higher and sold off as well. Biotech pullback, getting close to the 10-day moving average. And the same on the other, fell to the 20-day. Big sell-off in software, sliced right through its 50-day moving average. As we said, there is a big earnings and crowd coming about. If you would have bought crowd today, you'd be very happy. It is up 26% on a big earnings beat. I was thinking about it, and of course now I'm upset I didn't do anything. Infrastructure pulling back from its pretty high levels. Technology pulling back to the 10 and 20-day moving average. Semiconductors pulling back. They've filled the gap there. Jets, our airline, bouncing off of the 20-day. Leisure activity is pulling back towards a 20-day. Industrial sector pulling back to the 10-day moving average. And we got consumer staples tried to move higher and pulled back into space. Pulled right back to the 10-day moving average. And did I just type that again? I'm going to go to healthcare. Healthcare, a big pullback here. Bounced off the 20-day moving average. And we have building supplies. Yeah, like I was saying yesterday, they were extended, tried to move higher, and they sold off today. Home Depot, Lowe's are in that category. Metals and mining, big pullback. We'll look at gold later, but gold shot up. Look at this move, gap up, pull back a little bit, but that's gold for today. And our home builders, big pullback down a little over 1%. And our FANG triple hedged ETF, big pullback, fell below its 200-day moving average, is up slightly after hours. So that's the story there. Let's go to our dollar index. Dollar index is pretty flat. We looked at gold, kind of take a look at the volume. Volume is pulling back a little bit. Pretty strategic. No, not strategic. Very high anyway, high numbers. We got a call coming in. We're going to take this call and we'll be right back. crypto, we're back. Let me bring back our screen. So this is gold shares. I'm going to take a look at silver, see what they did today. Silver pulled back, tried to move higher at 22 and it pulled back there. Look at our copper. Yeah, big pullback there. Fell to the 200-day. Yeah, that's my concern with this issue. Every time it tries to break out and move higher, it pulls back pretty strongly. You can see right here, had a strong pullback. Right here, pullback. Moved up here, pulled back a little bit and tried to move higher, and we've got a strong pullback there. So it's my continued belief on any strong pullbacks. We'll see where it goes tomorrow. Maybe a good position to add. Got a pullback in Southern Copper today. Freeport McMoran, the same. Vale, same news, just kind of dived. BHP moved back as well. And finally Unreal. Yeah, big gap down there and closed on its low. So before we move any further, let me just pull up S&P heat map. Let me just share this. So it's pretty ugly. Microsoft wasn't down the worst of the, there were some that were down a lot worse today. Apple continues to plunge. Google recovered somewhat. Meta down 1.6. Amazon down. A lot of the healthcare stocks are down. Tesla's down big, down about 4%. And I think it was down worse earlier. Looks like only green is energy, Nvidia, some of the banks. So that's the story there. Now we'll continue on our journey through the screens. And then we'll kind of take a look at where the action was today. Well, the sector breakdown. Target was up big. So let's look at our bond yields. Bond yields gapping down on that PMI report. It's down to 4.14. T gapping down as well. Down almost 3%, down to 3.27. And our VIX. Interesting, the VIX popped up, gapped up, didn't really pull back on the selling. No, yeah, that's what you would expect. I'm thinking I'm looking at another index. So the VIX did pop up. It did not fill this 3.01. 01. 01. So we'll continue seeing if that fills right now. Did it fill this one? It looks like it filled this one, filled this gap. So instead of doing what we thought it would come down and fill this one and move up, it may have moved up and later will come down and fill that one. So we'll keep an eye on that. S&P index, we said it would come down to 498. It didn't really get close to there. So will there be continued selling this week? We'll just have to wait and see. QQQ. Pull up the screen for our quotes. I think we hit it on the QQQ. So we were going to hit 448.21. We definitely hit that on the QQQ. RSP pulling back about 0.46%. And the equal weight on the NASDAQ, pull back to the 20-day, down 1.52%. IWM, we said we were coming to 197.41. I guess we didn't quite get there, but we did get there on the Dow Jones. Fell to 386. 392.05 was our target. So that's the story there. And now let's go take a look at our news. Target, big mover. Target earnings went up 58% on Target, and their stock bounced 12% today. So Q4 adjusted EPS is $2.98 versus $2.40. Sales rose 1.6% year over year. Stitch Fix, Q2 EBITDA, continued operations 4.45 million versus 4.5 million. Got a big drop on that, down 21% today. Tesla European Gigafactory near Berlin halted production after it was torched by some eco extremists. And it gapped down nearly 4%. ThreadUp Q4 EPS 14-cent loss versus estimate of 13-cent loss, sold off, gapped down pretty hard, and kind of rallied back onto energy, industrial materials. Big move in Aero Environment today. Q4 EBITDA 28 million versus estimate 23.88. Huge gap up nearly 28%. Albemarle announces 1.75 depository shares offering, and it gaps down on this news. Big lithium supplier, down nearly 18% on people don't like to be diluted. Crescent Energy fixed quarterly cash dividend of 12 cents per share plus $150 million share buyback. Big bounce off of the 10 and 20-day moving average, up 7.28%. EOS Energy Q4 revenue 6.6 million versus estimate of 8.997 million. Gaps up and then closes kind of on a low of its gap, up 7%. This is a penny stock at this point. Deploy low battery storage solutions for the electric utility industry. Cosmos Energy announces offering of 300 million of convertible senior notes in 2020 and 2030, falls 10% on this news. NASA has selected 15 companies to provide flight and payload integration services to advance technologies and procedures for operating in space. Among them is Rocket Lab. And Rocket Lab is down 4% today. And then Momentous Space for the $45 million contract. And that is down about 4% as well. On the financials, Hamilton Lane commenced underwritten public offering of 1.92 shares, Class A stock, and down 4.34% on that news. MicroStrategy announces proposed private offering of 600 million of convertible senior notes. And the stock fills the gap here, down 21%. But it's down 21%, and it's still at above $1,000. And I believe this convertible notes offering is to buy more Bitcoin. We'll see if that's the story. And then on to Paymentus Holdings, Q4 EPS 7 cents, in line with consensus on better revenues of 164.8 million versus 157.4. Big gap up today, closes kind of in the middle of its range, up 20%. On to healthcare, dialysis, DaVita, a big 7%. And Fresenius shares looking higher earlier after Novo Nordisk reported results of a clinical trial for blockbuster drug Ozempic in people with diabetes. And Novo Nordisk fills the gap. We have another gap down here. We're not sure if it'll pull back to that one. So that's the story there. Okoyo Biosciences, Q4 operating income, $9.4 million loss versus estimate of 8.761. And it moves back. This is in penny stock territory, down 14.72%. Bridge Biopharma announces underwritten public offering of 250 million of shares of common stock, and they're gapping down. They're down 8.51%. Cara, Q4 EPS 59-cent loss versus 41-cent loss, and they're less than $1, down 9% today. CVS said it still sees full year adjusted EPS at least of $8.30 versus estimate of $8.32, and they're diving only 0.24%. But Passage Bio files for mixed shelf up to 200 million. Initially sold off, but then fought back at the end. This is also a penny stock. Tandem Diabetes announced proposed private placement of convertible notes. Their stock is diving on this news. AMD shares dip overnight and reports the company hit U.S. government roadblock in efforts to sell AI chip tailored for Chinese market, according to Bloomberg News. But they fought back strong at the close and ended down only 0.11%. Apple iPhone sales to China fell 24% year over year in the first 6 weeks of 2024. Big gap down and closed near its low, down 2.84%. GitLab, loser today, Q4 adjusted EPS 15 cents versus estimate 8 cents. Operating income 13.2 million versus estimate of 5.84 million. I believe they're a little soft on revenues, so that's why they got hit pretty hard today. even though their earnings are up 600%. So, and our last one, DSP, Viant Technology, Q4 EPS 14 cents versus 3-cent loss, up slightly, 6.54%. And let me just see, forgot to have our word of the day. So just pulling up to our, well, we got a lot of more emails came in since our word of the day. Nictitation, which is winking or blinking. The wind blew dust in my eyes, and the ensuing nictitation and eye watering ruined my mascara. Let me just show our word of the day. There's our nictitation, our word of the day. So let's continue with our screens. Let's kind of look what was moving. This is what was up 3%. Only one company with 50% increase in volume. Saya, one of my favorite trucking firms, is XPO, up 1.6%. It had a gap up for their last earnings. And let's just see. This may be what we call a box formation. So we'll just see how long this can go. See how many weeks this is. We got 1, 2, oh, we'll discount that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're getting close to it actually being counted. So let's go back to screens. What was up 5% on 100% increase in volume? Wow, there's quite a few. We got 20 of them. Largest screen here. Target was one of them. We had those in the news. So Apogee Therapeutics, up really big time here, up 42%. Looks like they're going to be possibly candidate to be competition for Eli Lilly. Atrion hits above the 400 mark, up 5.72%. There was Aero Environment we looked at before. California Bank Corp, up 5%. The banking sector we looked at. This is another one that's moving up. Ergonomic Computer Support Systems manufacturer, big move up after their earnings. Looks like this was not quite a double bottom, but it's definitely moving up. Castle Biosciences, diagnostic and prognostic test for dermatological cancers, 3 days in a row. Dave had a big pullback 2 days here, and now look at this earnings explode. It just explodes up 101%. Earning, it went up 64% today. See, been telling you to watch this company. This is definitely a high tight flag formation here, and it just continues up and up and up. Reported 2 cents versus a loss of $1.84 year over year. Davita, we looked at those in the news. First Community, the banking sector. Here's Fresnius, we looked at in the news. Harley Davidson, up big time, up 7%. Hewlett Packard just continues getting buying. Earnings were, was it negative 24%? So their guidance must have been pretty strong. It is just clearing all types of levels. Go to the weekly. So there we have it. This upper green line is the earnings line. So let's go to our next screen. Up 10% on 200% increase in volume. Not sure why that didn't change. I guess it bounced back to our previous screen. Apogee Therapeutics is on this. Aero Environment. Up 28%. Fresnius Medical Care. Big gap up there, about 11%. Regenix Bio. Up 15%. So it cleared buying right about here. I'd say that'd be a good place to buy right here. Bought on the low, you'd be sitting pretty today. And finally, Target. And what did we do today with this big downturn? Tell you what we did. We'll see where Elastic goes, but after reading a bunch of information, decided to put on the 110, 115 spread. We also have the 115, 120 spread above it. We're just going to keep that on. That's for April. And then on ZS, we put on the 210, 215 spread. I think with the news on CrowdStrike, the stock is moving up. We'll see if this holds for tomorrow. If so, it'll create a winner for us. With CrowdStrike, yeah, being up 20, a little over 25% right now. So you could have gotten in earlier when it was only 13%. Who knows what'll open up tomorrow? But that's kind of the story there. All the other issues we just kind of remake that. Take a look at some of them. Super microcomputer was down pretty big today, under 1,000. I was thinking about putting it on, but I just chose not to, and just let it ride. I believe we did talk about Apple, where we rolled over to the 170, 165 puts. Nvidia pulled back a little bit, started to fill the gap, and then moved higher. Microsoft had a big pullback. See if they pull back to the 50-day moving average. Meta pull back to the 10-day. I guess we can take a look at some other software names that fell to the 50-day and then bounced. Salesforce pulled back to the 20-day. Snow, which had the bad day the other day, just continues down another 5%. So it's gone from 229 to 167. Pretty amazing. Duolingo had a big hard sell-off today. They're bouncing back. They're kind of in the middle of the range, bounced up the 50-day moving average, got support there. Frog, pull back to the 20-day. Lift, pull back, got close to closing the gap there, and then it bounced off of that support. And then we definitely filled the gap here on Greystone and Bitto as well. Pull back a little bit. It is now bouncing, fell to like 59,000. We were shooting for like 57. But we'll just kind of see where it goes from here. iBit is one of the leaders. They filled their gap as well. How low will Bitfarms go? That is a question. Their earnings are in 2 days. This will tell a lot of the story. So it's a big cup with handle at the moment. At a little lower volume today. Huge volume these days. This is kind of a barometer. So we'll just have to see where this goes. We'll take a look at ELF and Celsius, and let's take a look at what App did today. App didn't pull back too strong. Only pulled back to like 60. Kava. Look at the volumes much lower over here on the pullbacks. Let's give our chart a little more space here. Lower volume, which is a good sign. Definitely a big cup with handle here. Celsius. Wow. It did pull back pretty strong, but it came back right at the end. ARM. Pull back below the 10-day moving average as it continues this flag formation. Now you can see it a little better. This is our flag formation, rarest symbol, rarest of form of technical formation, but produces the biggest results. We're going to look at AMD. I believe we did look at this in the news. Fought back there towards the end. And with Tesla, we'll kind of see how their deliveries come in. They were down much lower before, at a low of 177 today. So we'll just see if this is the bottom or if they're going to go for a double bottom here. So let's try to end on a positive note. I guess the last one we're going to look at is Qualcomm. Pullback, fill the gap here. See if it pulls back some more tomorrow. And we still have our spread on. I believe it's at 162. $162.50 to 165. So that's all we got for Taco Tuesday. Instead of us eating the market, it ate us today. You'll have those days. We've had a pretty big move here in the market. Had a pretty big move here. And you expect some pullback. It had gotten above the 5 to 6% range above the 50-day moving average. And that's generally when you have your pullbacks. We'll just have to see. Got a lot of volume here. We'll just have to see what tomorrow brings. This has been Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. It is your responsibility to do your own due diligence. If we can help you with any of your goals or activities, feel free to reach out to us. Mornings with Michael will be back again on Wednesday. Have a great day, everyone.